Running a WordPress blog in 2026 should not feel like a full-time job. Content, images, SEO, publishing, and promotion. It never ends. But here's the truth. Most bloggers are still doing everything manually, and that's exactly why they're stuck. Because the ones scaling right now, they've automated 80% of the process. In this video, I'm going to show you how to fully automate your WordPress blog using AI, workflows, and smart systems. All right, here is a quick overview of the workflow we have today. Now, in order for this workflow to work, we have to connect a couple of things first. We have to connect Claude, we have to connect ChatGPT, and we have to connect WordPress itself. Okay, so I'm going to run through all those real quickly. If you don't want to see that, feel free to skip. Now we need to connect ChatGPT. So go ahead and go to platform.openai.com/API-keys. Link is in the description below, and click Create New Secret Key. Give it a name and click Create Key, and go ahead and copy that. Let's go back over to n8n. Let's create an AI node and click plus on the chat model. Let's click Open AI. Click here, click Create New Credential. Let's paste the API key in and click Save. And you're good to go. Now we need to connect Claude. So go ahead and go to console.anthropic.com/settings/keys. Link is in the description below. And click Create Key. Call it whatever you want. Click Add and copy that key. Go back over to n8n. Let's add an AI agent node, jump out of it, and where it says chat model right here, click Anthropic, click here, click Create New Credential, paste your API key, click Save, and we're good to go. Let's connect WordPress. So first, log into your WordPress account. Next, we're going to go to Users, Profile, and then click on the admin user. Scroll all the way down to right here where it says Add Application Password. And go ahead and click that button and it will give you an application password. Once you have that, you're going to want to copy that, go over to n8n, make a WordPress node of any type, click Create Credential right. You want to put the username as the email of the WordPress. You want the WordPress URL, right? And then you want to put the application password that you just created, okay? And then you're good to go. Sweet, so now that everything is connected properly, let's talk about how we're going to get the information to make the blog. Now there is a bunch of different ways that you can set this up. I did a rather simple way as an example. That being said, you can do this however you like. I am grabbing blog posts from Y Combinator. So every time Y Combinator posts a really cool blog, is going to post a similar blog on our WordPress. That being said, you could scrape Twitter posts, you can scrape Reddit, you can scrape other blogs, you can scrape websites, you can use prompts to get this type of stuff. You can use every time someone posts a video on YouTube, you grab the transcript, use that transcript to create a blog post. There is a million different ways that you can get data in order to create a blog post. So in this first process, it is advised that you be really creative and you find something more specific to you and your use case. All right. So now let's jump into the workflow. Here we're starting out with an RSS feed trigger that connects directly to Y Combinator. Now this, every minute, it will check to see if a new blog post has been posted, and if it has, then it will trigger. Okay. Now at this point, if you wanted to, you could even add an AI right here that filters if this is a good post or not based on a certain criteria. And if it's not a good post, don't post the blog. But if it is, post a blog. Just an idea, right? Once you have the RSS feed trigger set up, next we have our HTTP node to grab the article. Now here, you might want to also add a proxy. This depends on the website you're grabbing the information from or how you're grabbing the information, because some websites might have security from you grabbing an article in this way. If they do, I recommend you use Zenrose. It's really easy. It takes 2 seconds to set up. You just add it to the URL, you can scrape it, and you're good to go. Now this HTTP node is really simple. All we're doing is grabbing the link that we got from the RSS feed, dragging and dropping that over using get method, and our result is we get the article in HTML format. So now we have to clean out the HTML because we don't want to feed a bunch of HTML to an AI. It's going to confuse it. It's going to make things more complicated. So we put in a code node here. We've got a bit of JavaScript here that extracts the article content away from the HTML so it's easy to work with. This is in my free school community, so you can grab it, join the community, and have it for free. So feel free to check that out. And the result of this code is you just get the different paragraphs separated and the different titles separated. Now this is where the magic starts happening. For these first couple of article generators, we're going to be using Claude because Claude generates better copy than ChatGPT. I find it writes better. This is personal preference, of course, but I like to use Claude. All right, now this first one, we're generating the title and the URL for the blog itself, and then we split the blog into separate parts. The reason why we did that is because each part of the blog represents a different function. The intro of the blog is there to hook the user and to get the user interested. The main article is supposed to have some sort of problem and resolution, and then the outro is supposed to have some sort of CTA. If we put a prompt to generate the whole blog in just one AI node, then it wouldn't generate a very high quality blog. So instead of doing that, I decided that it would be better to split it out into parts, and it comes out with a much higher quality blog that people actually read and they convert at the end of the blog. So jumping into the first AI agent node, we have a simple prompt here saying that your job is to create a title and a URL. Again, this is all shared in my free school community. And here we're just passing the title and the paragraphs of the blog that we just grabbed. And then we have here connected a output parser, so make sure you check require specific output format. We're going to look at the output parser here really quick. And here we have title as a string and slug as a string. Okay, so the output of this node, you can see here we have our title and we have our URL right here. Beautiful. Now we have the intro paragraph. Now this one I spent the most time on the prompt because if the intro sucks, nobody's going to stick around to read the whole article. The whole purpose of this is to hook the reader. So I have a 3-step formula that I use here in YouTube. If you're watching this video, that means it works. And we use it for blogs as well. So go ahead and take a look at that. That's in the school community, as I said, and use that for your prompts. And then again, I'm just feeding the title and the paragraphs of the old blog, right? So that it can use it to generate the new blog. All right. We do have another structured output parser with intro just as a string. Next, we have the main article content. Now this one is a much shorter prompt. We basically just feed it the intro, the title that we just created, and then we feed it the blog that we grabbed. The reason why we're feeding the stuff we just created is because we want it to leave off exactly where the intro stopped. And we want it to be very congruent and coherent between the two paragraphs. And so by doing this, you'll get a much higher quality blog. And again, for this, all you have to do is drag and drop from the different nodes the information that you need. Really, really simple. Okay. And this one, we're not using a specific output format because sometimes it will break based on certain characters in the blog itself. So it's a little bit easier to not do it. Next, we have our outro. Again, this is another simple prompt. This one is generating a CTA specifically to have people join our school community. So it's not going to work for you. You're going to have to change this prompt. But we're feeding the title, the intro paragraph, and the main blog content. Now we are no longer feeding it content from the last blog. This outro paragraph, it doesn't need to know what we're copying from. All it needs to know is what the content actually was of the new blog that we generated. And this one also has a output parser, right? And it's outro as a string. Makes our life a little bit easier. Next, we have our one and only ChatGPT node. The reason why we have this here is because ChatGPT is a little bit better at formatting WordPress blog posts in a way that looks beautiful. So we have a ChatGPT assistant. I know it's a little old school, but it works. And the prompt is pretty simple. It basically just says format it in WordPress. Now every WordPress theme is a little different. So here's how I did it. I created a new blog post in WordPress. I added a title, a paragraph, an image, some bullet points, all the different little formats that you need. And then I went to look at the code and I copied the code and I pasted it here as a template. Once I have that template, we can then use ChatGPT to insert the blog content into the template so it looks beautiful on WordPress. Wonderful. So once that's set up, you can choose to message an assistant. You can choose the right assistant based on whatever assistants you have. You can grab the user message, right? Which we're grabbing the main article content. We're not doing this for the intro. We're not doing this for the outro. that we have a separate node because they're simple paragraphs. They don't really need to be formatted crazily, but the main blog content does. It might have bullets, it might have different headers, subsections, things like that. So it's important that we format it the right way. It's also, if we fed the whole article to ChatGPT, it might hit the context limit. So we're splitting it up so that we don't hit any context limits. And then we get the output, which is the blog content we just created, but in a nice, beautiful WordPress format. Next, we need to format the intro and the outro. For this, we can go back to Claude because, like I said, it's a lot more simple. All I did was put some simple HTML templates here, tell it its job is to format things, not to add emojis, don't do anything crazy. Here's the intro, here's the outro. And then we have an output parser again. Remember to check require specific output format. And if we check the output parser here, we have intro as a string and outro also as a string. So we're still keeping them separate. Next, we have our tags and categories. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. So we have to grab all of our tags and all of our categories by ID from WordPress. And the way I did that was by injecting a little bit of PHP code into WordPress. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And this information will also be in the school community. Beautiful. So we're going to go to our appearance and theme file editor. Next, we're going to go to our functions.php, which is this one right here. And we're going to go all the way down and we're going to add this code here. Then we're going to click update file. Next, we're going to go to your URL /expert_terms equals true. Hit enter and it will download this file right here. Now this is a CSV, an Excel sheet that has all the information that I just showed you. Once you have that, just copy it, paste it into your prompts, and you are good to go. Then you want to make sure that you delete the code that you just added. So delete it, click update file, and you're good to go. All right, now we have that. We can paste it right here. And I recommend you just copy this prompt again from the school community. Really simple prompt, but it is really powerful. This will create the tags. This will create all the categories so that your WordPress blog is SEO optimized. Of course, there's a couple more optimizations we do after this, but this is amazing. And then we also have our structured output parser. Now this one's a little bit more complicated. We have a category as an integer. That means a number. Category name. This one's a string. We've got a list of tags, which is a list of strings, and then we have a list of tag names, which is also a list of strings. This is all the information that we need in order to post properly to WordPress. Next, we have our WordPress node. Finally, we're posting the blog, but that doesn't mean we're done yet. We're grabbing the title from where we generated the title here. Just drag and drop, right? We're grabbing the content. Now, of course, we're grabbing the intro, the formatted middle section, and then the outro. We grab all the formatted ones. So from this one right here, we drag and drop. That's the main content. Here's the intro, here's the outro. Just make sure and drag and drop there. Then we grab our slug. Our slug is from the title. So just drag and drop there. Our category names and IDs, and our tag names and IDs. We are just grabbing those from here. But here's the thing about them. This one, you have to add a little bit of JavaScript. So I recommend you just copy and paste this workflow, and then you don't have to really tweak it. You can just tweak the prompt. You can tweak how the article gets generated, and all the other stuff just works. For example, this one, we have to split them into commas when we send it over to WordPress a certain way. Okay, which is interesting. Of course, we're not done yet. We also need to add the meta information. So in order to add the meta information, we have this simple prompt that basically says we're creating meta information. This is SEO information using Yoast's plugin. So make sure you have Yoast installed. Yoast adds a custom API endpoint to WordPress that you can use for this, all right? And of course, we're feeding the title, intro, outro, main content, but we're not feeding the HTML generated version. We're just feeding the text version, okay? The slug, the tags, and the categories as well. And it will format a JSON response, which we can then just use in our next prompt, all right? We have here one object called meta with a bunch of smaller objects inside of it. Okay, I recommend, again, you just copy and paste this. And then finally, we're posting the information. So we have an HTTP node here, which is put, and we have this URL, beautiful URL, /post/ and we grab the ID of the post right here. That's what that is. Again, we're using the WordPress credentials here. We send the body as a JSON, and we take all of the Yoast information we just generated and we pop it into the article just like that. And once all this is executed, you have a beautiful WordPress post. Now, there's a couple ways you could modify this workflow. You could add videos, you can add images, you could maybe add multiple sources of information for just one blog, right? So instead of just scraping one blog post, you could find a really good topic and then use something like GPT or Perplexity to search through the internet to get more information about that topic before you actually create the blog. There is a lot of different ways that you can make this. If this helped you automate your publishing process, then you need to watch my video on how to price n8n automation projects. There, I show you exactly how to turn workflows just like this one into automations ready to sell. See you guys there.